Continuing from the previous segment, here are 10 additional unresolved enigmas to ponder.
1. The Watcher House. In June 2014, Maria and Derek Broaddus, along with their 3 young children, were preparing to move into their new residence at 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. They described the 6-bedroom house as their dream home, conveniently located just a few blocks away from Maria's childhood residence in one of the top 30 safest cities in the United States. However, just 3 days after the completion of the sale, before the Broaddus family had even commenced their relocation, they received a disturbing letter in their new mailbox. The letter, addressed to the new owner, in large, conspicuous handwriting, contained typed content that left the family deeply unsettled. It began with an eerie welcome to the neighborhood and went on to discuss the sender's familial ties to 657 Boulevard over several decades. The author ominously referred to themselves as the Watcher, claiming a duty to monitor the property's inhabitants. The letter delved into unsettling specifics about the Broaddus family, mentioning their children and hinting at disturbing intentions. Alarmed by its contents, the Broaddus family contacted the previous homeowners, John and Andrea Woods, who had lived at 657 Boulevard for 23 years. The Woods family confirmed receiving a similar letter shortly before they moved out, although they had dismissed it as peculiar but insignificant. Concerned, both families reported the letters to the police, initiating an investigation. Despite the authorities' efforts, no digital evidence or physical traces were found to identify the perpetrator. The letters continued to arrive, each one escalating in chilling detail and prompting the Broaddus family to reconsider their plans to move in. Eventually, overwhelmed by the psychological toll and the lack of progress in the investigation, they made the decision to sell the property just 6 months after acquiring it. As of the end of 2014, the case had reached an impasse, with the identity of the Watcher remaining elusive. 657 Boulevard has since changed hands and is currently off the market, while the mystery surrounding the sender of the letters persists.
2. The mysterious death of Tupac Shakur.
On September 7, 1996, at the MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, renowned rapper Tupac Shakur was spotted attending a Mike Tyson boxing match. Following the event, Tupac departed with Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight. As they exited, an altercation broke out between Tupac, his bodyguards, and Orlando Anderson, a member of the South Side Crips gang, in the MGM lobby. After the scuffle was quelled, Tupac and Knight departed in Knight's vehicle, with Tupac's entourage following in other cars. While stopped at the intersection of Flamingo and Koval, a white Cadillac pulled up alongside Knight's car and opened fire, striking Tupac 4 times and grazing Knight with a bullet fragment. In 2014, retired LVPD Sergeant Chris Carroll disclosed that he was the first officer to arrive at the scene. Upon opening the car door, Carroll found Tupac covered in blood and asked who had shot him.
Tupac responded with expletives before losing consciousness. Tupac was rushed to UMC and placed on life support, entering a medically induced coma.
6 days later, on September 13, 1996, Tupac succumbed to his injuries at the age of 25.
The Las Vegas Police Department failed to make any arrests in connection with the shooting and did not follow up with Yaki Gaddafi, a member of Tupac's entourage who claimed to recognize the assailant. Tragically, Gaddafi was murdered just 2 months after the incident, before he could be questioned. To date, no suspects have been identified, and no arrests have been made in the case. 3.
The ghost ship of the Mary Celeste. On December 4, 1872, the Mary Celeste, a British-American ship, was discovered deserted and adrift in the Atlantic Ocean. Despite being found in seaworthy condition with its cargo intact, save for a missing lifeboat, which appeared to have been launched in an orderly manner, the fate of those aboard remains a mystery, as no communication was ever received from them again. Departing from New York bound for Genoa, Italy in November 1872, the Mary Celeste was under the command of Captain Benjamin Briggs, accompanied by 7 crew members, including Briggs' wife and their 2-year-old daughter. The vessel was provisioned for a 6-month journey, boasting luxurious amenities such as a sewing machine and an upright piano. Experts and historians speculate that only extraordinary and alarming circumstances could prompt the abandonment of such a seaworthy vessel. Yet, the ship's log contained no hints of trouble, and the interior of the ship appeared orderly. Over the years, numerous theories, including mutiny, pirate attacks, and encounters with sea monsters, have been proposed to explain the ghostly abandonment of the Mary Celeste.
However, the true cause remains unresolved. 4. The Sodder children disappearance. On the eve of Christmas in 1945, in Fayetteville, West Virginia, George and Jenny Sodder were asleep with 9 of their children when a fire erupted in the house around 1 a.m. while George, Jenny, and 4 of their children managed to flee to safety. The remaining 5 children, 14-year-old Maurice, 12-year-old Martha, 9-year-old Louis, 8-year-old Jenny, and 5-year-old Betty, remained trapped inside the burning home.
These children shared 2 bedrooms located upstairs.
Despite George's courageous attempts to re-enter the house to rescue the children, the staircase was engulfed in flames, and his efforts were further hampered by the absence of his ladder, typically kept in its designated spot. Strangely, both of his coal trucks, intended for use as makeshift platforms, failed to start. Marion, one of the children who escaped the fire, sought help from neighbors to call the fire department, but multiple attempts to reach the operator proved futile. Another neighbor eventually located the fire chief, F.J. Morris, in person, and informed him of the blaze. However, despite the fire station's proximity, a mere 2.5 miles away, it took firefighters until 8 a.m., 7 hours after the fire began, to reach the Sodder home, by which time the house had been reduced to ashes. Authorities painstakingly combed through the debris in search of the missing children's remains, but no trace was found, leading to the presumption of their death due to the fire. While Morris theorized that the fire's intensity had incinerated the children's bodies, including their bones, this explanation was met with skepticism, as the absence of burning flesh odor and the typical preservation of bones in fire-related incidents cast doubt on its validity. The fire was attributed to faulty wiring, and death certificates were issued for the 5 missing children. However, George and Jenny harbored suspicions that their children had been abducted rather than perishing in the fire, suspecting the blaze was deliberately set as a diversion. Reports emerged during the fire of witnesses claiming to have seen the missing children in passing cars, and subsequent sightings fueled the Sodders' belief that their children were still alive. From the 1950s until Jenny Sodder's passing in the late 1980s, the family maintained a billboard on State Route 16, displaying images of the 5 missing children and offering a reward for information. The last surviving Sodder child, Sylvia, remained steadfast in her belief that her siblings did not perish in the fire. To this day, their fate remains a mystery. 5. The mystery of the Circleville letters. In 1976, residents of Circleville, Ohio, found themselves targeted by a series of menacing letters, a haunting phenomenon that has persisted to this day. The letters, originating from Columbus but lacking any return address, leveled accusations at school bus driver Mary Gillespie and the school superintendent, alleging an extramarital affair between them. One particularly chilling letter was addressed to Mary's husband, Ron, threatening his life unless he intervened to end the purported affair. In 1977, Ron met a suspicious demise in a one-car crash marked by gunshots. Despite the sheriff's ruling of the death as an accident, the residents of Circleville soon found themselves the recipients of letters accusing the sheriff of concealing the truth behind the so-called accident. Paul Freshour, Ron's brother-in-law, was ultimately convicted of composing the letters after an attempt on Mary's life using a booby-trap-rigged pistol. Despite Freshour's incarceration, the unsettling saga of the Circleville letters persisted throughout the late 1970s and into the early 1980s, with Freshour even receiving a letter while in prison. In 1994, Freshour was released, steadfastly maintaining his innocence until his passing in 2012. The true identity of the Circleville letter writer remains shrouded in mystery, leaving this unsettling chapter of Circleville's history unresolved. 6. The 8-Day Bride. On May 20, 1947, the lifeless body of 22-year-old Christina Kettlewell was discovered just 150 feet from her honeymoon cottage, submerged in a mere 9 inches of water along the riverbanks in Severn Falls, Ontario. Nearly 8 days earlier, on May 12, Christina had married 26-year-old war veteran John Ray Jack Kettlewell, whom she had known for 3 years. Jack had a companion named Ronald Berry, a 28-year-old immigrant from Italy and a professional ballroom dancer. It was rumored that Jack, Christina, and Ronald spent an unusual amount of time together, leading Christina's family to suspect Ronald harbored feelings for her. Following their elopement, the newlyweds spent several days at a rented apartment in Toronto. Strangely, Ronald accompanied them throughout their honeymoon, and on May 17, the trio journeyed to Ronald's secluded cottage in Severn Falls, accessible only by boat. During this period, Christina exhibited uncharacteristic behavior, alternating between fits of tears and moments of seeming detachment. Evidence suggests she confided in Ronald about doubts regarding Jack's affection for her. On May 20th, Christina vanished, coinciding with a mysterious fire at Ronald's cabin. Ronald discovered a disoriented Jack within the burning cabin, reportedly injured, and rescued him from the flames. Despite searching for Christina, she was nowhere to be found within the cottage. Ronald then transported Jack to the mainland of Severn Falls, sought medical attention for his friend, and subsequently alerted the authorities. The situation took a grim turn when Christina's body was later discovered by a boathouse owner nearby. Her body bore no signs of burns or violence. An autopsy revealed trace amounts of codeine in her stomach, with drowning determined as the cause of death. Major Lawrence Scarterfield, an initial responder to the fire, noted the absence of Christina's body when he fetched water to douse the flames hours earlier. Police questioned Jack, Ronald, and 20 others in connection to the case. Yet despite various conjectures, including suicide, the mystery remains unsolved. 7. The creepy murder in room 1046. On January 22, 1935, a man identifying himself as Roland T. Owen registered at the Hotel President in Kansas City, Missouri. Arriving without luggage, he appeared to be aged between 20 and 35, with brown hair, a noticeable scar above his ear, and a case of cauliflower ear. Dressed smartly in a black coat, he was assigned room 1046 and allowed the maid, Mary Soptic, to enter for cleaning but requested she leave the door unlocked as a friend would soon visit. Soptic noted his preference for darkness, keeping the blinds drawn and minimal lighting. Upon her return at 4 p.m. with fresh towels, Soptic found Owen fully clothed on the bed in darkness, with an unlocked door and a note suggesting an imminent return. The following morning, finding the door locked from outside, she discovered Owen inside, again in darkness, implying someone else had locked him in. During her cleaning, Owen answered a call refusing food, claiming to have just eaten breakfast. Later that evening, returning with more towels, Soptic heard two male voices inside, receiving a dismissive response when offering towels. Another guest reported hearing loud voices, male and female, from the same floor. The next morning, noticing Owen's phone off the hook, staff attempted to check on him. Despite initial requests to enter, Owen's condition alarmed the bellboy, Randolph Probst, who discovered Owen bound, injured, and in a pool of blood. Subsequently found comatose, Owen later succumbed to his injuries, identifying himself as Artemis Ogletree before passing away. Despite his revelation, no suspects have been identified, and the Kansas City Police continue their investigation into the case. 8. The disappearance of Dorothy Arnold. Dorothy Harriet Camille Arnold, a wealthy New York socialite, was the daughter of Francis Rose Arnold, a perfume importer, and his wife Mary Martha Parks Arnold. She appeared to have a contented home life. On the morning of December 12, 1910, Dorothy left her residence on Manhattan's Upper East Side, informing her mother of her plan to head downtown to purchase an evening gown. When her mother offered to accompany her, Dorothy declined, stating she would phone once she found the dress. Carrying over $30, equivalent to more than $750 today, she made stops along Fifth Avenue, purchasing chocolate at a grocery store on 59th Street and acquiring a copy of Engaged Girl Sketches at a bookstore on 27th Street. During her bookstore visit, Dorothy encountered Gladys King, a college friend, and discussed an upcoming party they were both invited to, the occasion for which Dorothy was shopping. After this encounter, Gladys departed to meet her mother for lunch, and Dorothy vanished without a trace. Francis Arnold, hesitant to publicize his daughter's disappearance, initially sought assistance from private investigators. When these efforts proved fruitless, the family officially reported Dorothy missing to the New York City Police Department in January 1911. Despite numerous theories, alleged sightings, and rumors over the years, the circumstances surrounding Dorothy's disappearance have never been resolved, leaving her fate a mystery.
9. The murder of Bugsy Siegel. Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, born on February 28, 1906, grew up in Brooklyn, New York, amidst modest means. Alongside his companions Meyer Lansky and Morris Mo Sedway, Bugsy delved into a life reminiscent of organized crime, swiftly establishing himself as a teenage delinquent. Together, they engaged in activities ranging from intimidating local vendors to extorting protection money from rival gangs, eventually expanding into bootlegging and gambling ventures across New York City, rapidly ascending the ranks of the underworld. In 1937, Bugsy and Sedway were dispatched to California to fortify the mob's presence on the West Coast. Transitioning from bootlegging to gambling, Bugsy invested in the SS Rex, a gambling vessel stationed off the coast of Santa Monica, California, in an attempt to circumvent the state's anti-gambling legislation. When authorities shuttered the ship, Bugsy shifted his focus to Las Vegas, capitalizing on Nevada's legalized gambling to evade legal entanglements. With syndicate funding in 1945, Bugsy seized control of the Flamingo Hotel and Casino, a struggling project situated beyond the city limits of Las Vegas, transforming it into the first luxury resort on the burgeoning Strip. Despite the Flamingo's incomplete state, Bugsy inaugurated the casino on December 26, 1946, drawing renowned personalities like Judy Garland and Clark Gable to the grand opening. Following the festivities, Bugsy shuttered the establishment for final touches, incurring displeasure from East Coast mob affiliates as construction costs skyrocketed due to his embezzlement. A subsequent mob summit in Cuba determined Bugsy's fate hinged on the Flamingo's success. While the casino proved profitable, it fell short of mollifying the mob. On June 20, 1947, Bugsy met his demise while reclining on the couch at his lover Virginia Hill's residence in Beverly Hills, California. Gunfire erupted from a nearby pergola, fatally striking Bugsy with 4 rounds from a .30 caliber rifle. Shortly after his demise, 3 of Meyer Lansky's associates asserted control over the Flamingo, marking a dramatic turn of events. Beverly Hills Police Chief Clinton H. Anderson attributed Bugsy's assassination to his own cohorts, though insufficient evidence precluded the identification of the assailant. 10. The Jameson family disappearance. On October 8, 2009, Bobby Dale Jameson, 44, his wife Sherilyn Leanne, 40, and their 6-year-old daughter Madison Stormy Starr were last sighted before mysteriously vanishing. Residents of Eufaula, Oklahoma, they were last spotted by an individual residing in the southeastern Oklahoma mountains. However, the witness asserted seeing only the Jameson family and no other individuals in the vicinity at that time. The family was exploring a 40-acre property they intended to purchase, with plans to reside in a shipping container they had been living in on their current Eufaula land. 8 days later, on October 16, the case took a significant turn when hunters discovered the Jamesons' abandoned truck in a remote wooded area approximately a quarter mile from their last sighting. The vehicle remained locked, containing Bobby's wallet, Sherilyn's purse, jackets, a GPS device, Bobby's cell phone, $32,000 in cash stored in a bank bag, and their pet dog Maisie, severely malnourished but alive. Bobby's cell phone contained a recent picture of Madison, believed to have been taken the day before their disappearance. There were no signs of struggle within the truck. Former Sheriff Beauchamp speculated that the family may have been compelled to stop and exit the vehicle to meet with someone they recognized, either voluntarily or under duress. The GPS unit indicated that the family had ventured further up a nearby hill before reaching the location where their truck and belongings were discovered. Investigators followed the coordinates, finding footprints. The following day, on October 17, a large-scale search involving 300 individuals, including authorities and volunteers, was conducted by air and ground, yet no significant leads emerged, prompting the suspension of the search for the Jamesons. On November 16, 2013, hunters scouting for deer stumbled upon partial skeletal remains of 3 individuals, 2 adults and 1 child, less than 3 miles from where the Jameson family's truck had been parked 4 years earlier. Among the discoveries were shoes, clothing fragments, adult teeth, an adult arm and leg bone, and bone fragments, eventually confirmed to belong to the missing Jameson family. Despite these findings, the cause of death remains undetermined, leaving the circumstances surrounding their disappearance shrouded in mystery.
In summary, these unresolved mysteries intrigue and captivate, showcasing the enduring allure of the unknown. They inspire curiosity and reflection, reminding us of the enigmatic nature of the world we inhabit.